What's up, guys? Tyler Yasuda here of Tytaniumfitness. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to upload this video because I'm not sure how much I want to say, but I'm just going to, for now at least, I'm going to speak under the assumption that I am going to be posting this. And basically the reason I'm making this video is, for one thing, to update you guys on the status of my injury, and two, to sort of provide an explanation to anybody that's been sort of concerned or who's been supporting me, or anybody that's been affected by the way I've been acting recently, because recently, I know I've been sort of distant. A lot of people who I normally text or talk to and stuff, I haven't been really keeping in touch with. A lot of people that I'm close with here at school, haven't really talked to a whole lot, and I know I haven't been posting on social media or YouTube at all. And I feel like some of you, especially those of you who are close to me, deserve an explanation. And basically, I guess I'll start from the very beginning of when things started going bad, because it was a little bit before the injury. The first thing that sort of started, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video or anything like that, but last quarter I did really well in school. I got 2 A's and a B, which is not super amazing. I think one of them was an A- or two of them might have been A-, but regardless, the classes that I was taking at that time were pretty hard classes, and I was on top of my stuff, which was always good. And then coming into this quarter, I was still on top of my stuff, and then I had my first midterm was a math midterm. I put in as much work as I thought I needed to for that midterm, if not more, and on that test it was out of 5 questions. There were 2 questions that I absolutely just couldn't do. I didn't really know what I was doing on those questions, and I just assumed, because you figure if I got 3 out of 5 right, and assuming that I did those 3 problems completely correctly, then that would still only be a 60%, which is a D. And at my school, anything less than a C, so C- or worse, is considered failing. So I figured I failed that test, and in actuality I didn't. I got a much better score than I thought, but that's besides the point. The point is that at that moment in time, I thought I failed that test, and it was sort of bothering me because I thought I was on top of my stuff, and I thought I put in enough effort to get the grade that I wanted, but obviously it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, or it didn't work out the way I thought I wanted it to, or whatever. And then after that, the injury happened a few days after, and I guess the worst thing, or the thing that bothers me the most about that injury, is that I talked to a bunch of people about it. There's footage on YouTube, there's footage on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever. So a lot of people saw it, and I talked to a lot of people who are more knowledgeable than me, and as far as anybody can tell, there's nothing that I necessarily did wrong with my form. Nothing really went wrong that would have caused that kind of injury. And I remember talking with Johnny Candido for a minute about, we were just sort of discussing how as you get stronger and as you move heavier and heavier weights, there is some inherent risk involved in training. Regardless of how good your form is, there's always going to be a little bit of risk for injury. Your freak accidents or whatever, there's nothing you can do about it. Stuff like that just happens sometimes, and to me, that was almost sort of worse to hear it that way, or to think of it that way, just because if there was something that I did wrong, at least I could recognize that and correct it, or I could practice, or I could try to improve and fix that, so that next time I'm able to squat, I have something to work on, or to focus on improving. But if there's nothing that I did wrong, then what can I do differently? Like next time I train, or next time I'm able to train, I'll just have that thought in the back of my mind that I'll always have that risk of injury, I guess. And then after the injury, I got sick, and I had a fever for like 2 or 3 days, and during that time I missed under all my macros, just because it was too hard for me to eat, and the day after that I compensated by increasing my macros a bit, but it didn't really matter. Regardless of how well I hit my macros or how close I was to hitting my numbers, I lost, I want to say 5 or 6 pounds in the course of like 3 or 4 days, which is ridiculous. And so obviously the combination of me not being able to train plus being sick, and losing a ton of weight, that was a pretty large hit on my strength, a pretty large hit on my my physique. And to evaluate it quantitatively, basically today was my first day back training. I hit upper A or something like that, and my numbers on bench decreased significantly. I lost, I think, 15 pounds off my normal working weight on bench, and results were similar on things like curls and like camera strength press, and just like everything all the way around was a lot worse. And then I just took my measurements, which might not have been a good idea to do right now, but my skin folds were all slightly higher than they were 2 weeks ago, and as far as my measurements go, I lost about 1.5 inches from my chest, about 1/2 inch from my arms, about 1/2 inch from my calves, and about 1 inch from my thighs, which to me that is sort of the biggest hit, because that's about the amount of progress I made the entire off season in terms of numbers, and especially my legs. Like, I worked so hard to get to where I was, and to have that, you know, be taken away, or to lose that in 2 weeks, it just seems sort of unfair or ridiculous, I guess. And I mean, it sounds stupid to say that, oh, this is unfair, I don't deserve something like this, but I don't ever want to sound like that, but that's sort of what it feels like. It feels like, how can all this stuff happen at the same time? You know, like, why now and why all of it at once? It doesn't make sense to me, like, how that could happen, but I guess it does, and I gotta deal with it. And the reason that I've been distant, or that I've been not in contact with a lot of people, I mean, first off, I should say I'm sorry if my behavior has affected any of you, but basically what was going on is, when things were worse, I mean, it wasn't just the injury and being sick and school and stuff like that. There was a lot of other stuff going on as well that I don't really care to explain. But when things were the worst, I was spending a lot of my time and a lot of my effort just trying to make it seem like everything was fine. Just trying to sort of like pretend that everything was okay, that I was handling this just fine, and being mature about it. And I guess the reason that I was doing that is just because I feel like, I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious. I talk about this quite often, that if you put yourself sort of in the center of attention, or in the spotlight, or whatever, whether that be on social media or in competition, whatever it is, then there's going to be people looking up to you, and whether or not you want that responsibility, it's still there. And whenever you have the ability to positively influence somebody else, then you have a bit of a moral obligation, or at least I feel like I have a moral obligation to do so. And to me, sometimes that means being mature when I don't want to, and, you know, being strong when I'm not. And I recently, like, I think maybe a week ago, I posted something on Instagram or Facebook about something like, either strength is fragile or I'm weak. And basically what I meant is that, you know, it takes so much time, so much effort for any of us to get to a point where we're proud of, in terms of being stronger, or being having a good physique, or whatever it is that we're doing. It takes so much time and effort to get to a point where we can be proud of ourselves, or a point where, you know, we're happy with our progress, or happy with where we've come, or how far we've come. So, like, for me, I was here, and in the course of like 2 weeks or a week or whatever, I was brought down from here all the way to down here. And it's like, it's so easy to go from feeling on top of the world, feeling like you're on top of all your stuff, to going to complete shit, you know? And so that's pretty much what happened for me, is like, all this stuff was happening at the same time, and it was too much. And I definitely could have handled this better if, I mean, like, I didn't have to stop training completely. I could have probably gotten in the gym and hit upper body or something like that, but it was just so disheartening. And honestly, it affected me mentally quite a bit to have all this happen at the same time, and it was tough for me to stay motivated and stay positive. But any effort or any energy that I had left was just spent trying to make it seem like everything was okay. And I mean, that sort of explains why I've been the way I've been the past few weeks. I guess one important thing I do have to say is that I'm not completely sure about this right now, but I may or may not be competing this season, just because the way I feel right now is that the amount of damage I've done is so much that there's no way I can come in 100%, and if I can't, then there's no point in me competing. And I'm sorry if I disappoint any of you with that decision, if that ends up being the way things go. But I mean, sometimes there's things that are more important than competing, and I've got to sort of take care of my own stuff as well. It's Grant's birthday.
Alright, put those.
Tytaniumfitness checking in.
What? No, it doesn't fit. Alright, just wear your pregnant now. Okay. Stop.
Who's gonna sing?
Okay, ready.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do this. Okay.
Go by yourself.
1, 2. 1, 2, 3, go. Alright, come on, guys. Okay. Okay. Are you guys gonna follow me?
Yeah, well, I'll do it too. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Grant. Happy birthday to you.
I just hope you don't get rich enough now.
Remember to comment, rate, subscribe.